Hello everyone. So today we are going to do a new lesson. This is the last lesson of your supplementary reading. The name of the lesson is Monday Morning, written by Mark Twain. So let's see the characters of the lesson first. So there are mainly four characters in the lesson. The first one is Tom Sawyer. Tom Sawyer, he's a small boy. He is the main character of the lesson. The second is Sid. Sid is the younger brother of Tom. And the third one is Aunt Polly. Aunt Polly is the one in whose house both the brothers were staying. And the last one is Mary. Mary is the maid of in Aunt Polly's house. So this aunt is also said as auntie, but in here in this lesson it is said as aunt. It is Aunt Polly. So let's start with the lesson. Monday Morning, written by Mark Twain. It was Monday morning. Tom Sawyer was feeling miserable. Tom Sawyer, he was not feeling very happy about the Monday morning. Monday morning always found him so, because it started another week's slow suffering in school. So Tom Sawyer, he was a school-going boy. He was not happy with the Monday morning because it always started with a week with slow suffering in the school, because Sunday it was an holiday and from Monday his schools was started. He generally began that day with wishing he had no holiday on Sunday. It made the going to school again so much more painful. So he was thinking that generally he used to think that I hope that Sunday there was no leave, because from Monday till Saturday he was going to school, and one day Sunday comes in between and he will be enjoying his day on Sunday, and the next day again he have to go to school. So he was thinking that I hope Sunday was not there, so that every day I could go to school and there would be no gap in between for school, so that I would not feel very painful going back to school again after a enjoyable day. Tom lay thinking. He was sitting thinking. Presently he found himself pretending that he was sick. So very soon he found a reason for not going to school, that he was acting as if he was very sick. Then he could stay home from school. He was having an idea that if I feel sick, then I can stay at home and not go to school. There was just a chance that something was wrong with him. So there was no chance that there was something wrong with him. He was perfectly okay and he did not have a single reason to stay at home. He mentally examined every part of his body. He found no ailment. He investigated again. Just then he thought he could detect some light pain in the stomach. So he was mentally examined every part of his body. He was keeping examining all the part of his body, that whether he has any pain in any part of the body. He found no ailment. Ailment is nothing but illness. He did not find any illness. He was very perfectly fine. He investigated again. He kept on checking again and again whether he has any pain in his body. Just then he thought he could detect some slight pain in the stomach. Just then, as he was going on thinking, is there any pain in my body? He just came to know, he detected something, that there was a slight is a very little pain in the stomach. Tom began to encourage it with considerable hope. But he had little success. Tom, he was thinking that yes, I have pain in my stomach, I could not go to school. But even he knew that it was a very little pain and it was of no use, because it came and it just went off. So it was not a very big pain. The pain soon grew feeble and presently died wholly away. So the pain, as he felt the pain, still, but it was very less and it also died wholly away. He investigated further, so he could not get with the stomach pain. It was very little pain and it went away, so he could not give the reason that he had a stomach pain. So he just started investigating again if there is any other pain in any part of the body. Suddenly he discovered something. So he discovered something, that he has discovered some other pain now. One of his upper front teeth was loose. So after the stomach pain, now he has found out that one of his upper front teeth, the front teeth in the upper side teeth, it was loose. It was just loose. It had not fallen. It had become loose. This was lucky. He was about to begin to groan as a starter. So he thought that yes, this is the right opinion for me. I have to make this as a reason for not going to school, so that my front teeth, it is loose and it is paining. So he was about to begin to groan. Groan is nothing but cry in with a low pain. When you have little pain and you keep crying slowly, that is called as groan. So he was thinking that I will start crying slowly as a starter. So I'll just start with a small cry, as he called it. But almost all at once it occurred to him that if he told his aunt about it, she would pull it out and that would hurt. So again a thought came to his mind that if he said to his aunt that his teeth was loose, so he was thinking that his aunt might pull out his tooth and it might hurt a lot to him. So he thought he would hold the tooth in reserve for the present and investigate further. So he thought that this tooth pain, I will keep it for further, for my future ailments. I will keep it for my future ideas. I will keep this tooth. Now I will search for any other pain through which nobody can see the pain, but still I have to tell them that it is paining. Nothing seemed to come to help for some time. So he was investigating again and again and again, but still nothing came to his help and he could not find any pain in his body. Then Tom remembered the doctor telling about a certain thing that laid up a patient for 2 or 3 weeks and threatened to make him lose a finger. So Tom, he remembered about an incident. A doctor told him that there was something with a patient, there was something wrong with a patient, which made him lay on the bed for 2 or 3 weeks and even it made him lose a finger. So what was the thing? What happened to the patient? Let's see. So the boy eagerly drew his sore toe from under the sheet and held it up for inspection. So the reason the doctor said the patient was admitted in the hospital for 2 or 3 weeks, it was for his sore toe. Toe, the toes, the fingers in your legs are called as toes, and sore is nothing but painful toes. So he remembered an incident, a doctor saying that a patient, he had a sore toe and due to which he was admitted in the hospital for 2 to 3 weeks. So he found that this reason might be very apt for me to leave my school, to not go to my school. So what he does, he takes out his toes from his bed sheet and he keeps out for inspection. He just keeps checking his leg, what happened to his leg, is it okay, or can he give this reason of a sore toe. Now that he had found a promising ailment, so now he has found a promising ailment, means a perfect illness, to say to his aunt to not go to school. So now he has a perfect reason. He had only to produce the symptoms. So he had only to produce the symptoms. Symptoms are nothing but signs. So he had to now only he is ready now to produce all the signs that he has a sore toe, a painful toe. But he did not know what these were. However, it seemed worthwhile taking a chance. So he did not know what were the symptoms, what were the signs for a sore toe, but still he found that this was a worthwhile, a profitable reason, a profitable chance to take, and he found that it was a perfect reason to tell his aunt. So he fell to groaning with considerable spirit. So he started groaning to a considerable spirit, means with the noticeable strength. So that he was groaning as if everybody could hear him, so that everybody could notice him and ask him what was wrong with him. He should first of all get Sid, his younger half-brother, to tell his aunt about his ailment. But Sid slept on very soundly. So his brother Sid, his younger brother Sid, he was sleeping just beside him. So Tom could not directly go and tell his aunt that he had a sore toe, a painful toe. So he had an idea that he has to, some or the other way, he has to wake up Sid, and he has to tell Sid to go and tell his aunt about his pain. So he turned to Sid and he saw, but Sid was very sleepy. So he had a plan that he will wake up his brother Sid and he will let him know about his pain, and Sid will inform aunt. Tom groaned louder and imagined that he began to feel pain in the toe. So Tom, as he had to wake up Sid, he could not directly go and wake up Sid and say that he had a pain. So he started crying louder. Loudly he started crying, and he imagined by himself that he was feeling the pain in his toe. But there was little response from Sid. Sid did not respond at all because he was in a very sound sleep and he could not hear Tom crying. But still, Tom did not leave his chance. He just started crying louder and louder. Tom was gasping by this time. He took a rest and then began to groan even louder. So as Tom was simply crying, he was feeling very low. So he stopped crying for a little while and again he started crying even louder. But Sid snored on. Sid was just snoring and he could not hear Tom's sound, and he was just in a sound sleep. Tom was furious. So now Tom is getting angry that Sid is not waking up. He called, "Sid, Sid," and shook him. So by this time, Tom was very curious. He was very angry with Sid that he was not waking up, even though Tom was crying so loudly. So he did not wait anymore. He started calling Sid directly. He called, "Sid, Sid." He called 2 times and he just shook him. He just shaked him a little bit. This plan worked well. So now the plan which he was doing first, that he was groaning louder, that plan did not work as Sid did not wake up. But now Tom directly called Sid and this plan worked and Sid woke up. And Tom began to groan again. So he woke up Sid and again Tom started crying. Sid yawned, stretched, then brought himself up on his elbow and began to stare at Tom. So Sid, he just got up and he was yawning and stretching his body. We all do this, right? When we wake up suddenly, we just keep yawning and we stretching our body. Then by his elbow, he got up and he sat and he started looking at Tom. Tom was keeping groaning. Tom kept on groaning. So Tom was still crying as Sid woke up. "Tom, say Tom," said Sid. There was no response from Tom. So Sid was asking, "Tom, Tom, why did you wake me up? Tell me what happened." So Sid did not respond anything. "Here, Tom, what's the matter, Tom?" So Sid was keeping on asking, "What's the matter? Why are you crying? What happened?" But Tom did not give any response to Sid. Sid asked and he shook him and looked in his face anxiously. Tom moaned out, "Oh, don't, Sid, don't shake me like that." So Sid, he was sitting and he was looking at Tom crying. So Sid, he just pushed Tom. He just shaked him a little bit and he asked him, "What happened, Tom?" So Tom said, "Sid, don't do that. Don't shake me like that." "Why? What's the matter, Tom? I must call Auntie." So Sid says that, "What happened, Tom? What is the matter? Should I call Auntie? What is the matter? Why are you crying?" He was keeping on asking. "No, never mind. It may be all over by and by. Don't call anybody." So Tom, he was just pretending as if he is okay and he was saying, "No, no, never mind. Don't worry. Don't call anybody. I will be fine." "But I must. Don't groan so, Tom. It's awful. How long have you been like this?" So Sid says, Okay, I will not call anybody, but you stop crying. It is so awful. Awful is, it is so terrible seeing you crying. Don't cry. And he asked, "For how long are you crying like this? I did not hear you crying." "Hours. Ouch! Oh, don't stir so. Sid, you'll kill me. So Tom, he was just making an acting. He was just acting. He did not have any pain in his toe. He was just saying that to Sid that from hours together, from 2 to 3 hours, I'm crying. Ouch! Don't stare so. So he says, you don't push me, you don't touch me also. You will kill me. I'm first of all dying out of pain. If you push me or touch me also, I will die. So don't touch me. Tom, why didn't you wake me sooner? Oh, Tom, don't. I am scared, Tom. What is the matter? So Sid, he is very anxious to know that what happened to Tom. So he says that, why didn't you wake me up soon? For so long you were crying and still you did not wake me up. So Sid says to Tom. So Tom says, I forgive you everything, Sid. Everything you've done to me when I'm gone. So Tom, he was acting as if he is going to die out of his sore toe, and he says that whatever mistakes you have done, I have forgiven you for all those things and everything you've done for me. So Tom is just acting and he's trying to frighten Sid. So he's just making an acting. Oh, Tom, you aren't dying, are you? Don't, Tom. Oh, don't. Maybe. So Sid is very scared now by this time, as Tom was talking that he's going to die, and he says that he's going to forgive him for all what has done. So Sid gets very scared and he says, oh, Tom, don't talk all these things. Are you going to die? He says. I forgive everybody, Sid. Tell them so. So Tom keeps on doing his acting and he says, no, I'm going to die out of this sore toe and I will forgive everybody for whatever they have done. So, but I am going to die now. But Sid had got out of bed. But Sid, he got out of his bed, snatched his clothes and was on his feet. Tom was suffering in reality now. So handsomely was his imagination working that his grounds had become quite genuine. So by this time, Sid, he got up and he came down. He snatched down his clothes and he was on his feet. He got down from the bed. But now Tom, his imagination was so good that he started imagining as if he has a sore pain, a painful toe he has, and his crying had become so genuine that anybody who used to see him, they used to feel that really in actual he has a toe pain. So he was imagining, his imagining power was so good that it was feeling like as though he's suffering in reality. Sid flew downstairs and said, oh, Aunt Polly, come, Tom's dying. So Sid, what he did, he just ran down. They were staying upstairs. Both the brothers were upstairs and Aunt Polly was downstairs. So Sid, he went downstairs and he said Aunt Polly that, come, Tom's dying. So he did not say that he has a sore throat, a sore toe or something. He just directly said that Tom is dying, please come. Dying? Yes, don't wait, come quick. So Aunt Polly, she asked that, dying? Is he dying? What happened to him as if he's dying? So Sid says that, yes, don't wait, come quick. Rubbish, I don't believe it. So Aunt Polly says, he was just sleeping, how can he die? No, rubbish, I don't believe what you're saying. But she fled upstairs, nevertheless, with Sid and Mary on her heels. So Aunt Polly, she did not wait downstairs. She just fled upstairs. She went upstairs to check what was wrong with Tom. She went with Sid and Mary. Mary is a maid of their house. And her face grew white and her lips trembled. So as soon as she saw Tom with such a lot of pain and crying, her face, it went white and even her lips kept trembled. Trembled is nothing but shaked. When she reached the bedside, she gasped out, you, Tom, what's the matter with you? So she was very anxious and she wanted to know what was wrong with Tom, and she kept on asking what was the matter. Oh, Auntie, I'm. So Tom, he was pretending as if he's in a lot of pain and he was even not able to talk. So again, Auntie asks, what's the matter with you? What's the matter with you, child? Oh, auntie, my sore toe is mortified. So he says that, oh, auntie, my sore toe is mortified. Mortify is nothing but here it is said as died. So he says that my sore toe, my toes are very painful and I'm feeling that as if they are dead. The old lady sank down into a chair and laughed a little, then cried a little, then did both together. This restored her and she said, so the auntie, the old lady is nothing but referred to as the Aunt Polly. She sat down on a chair and she laughed a little and then she cried a little. By this time, Aunt Polly came to know that Tom was just doing acting and he did not have any pain in his toe. So Aunt said that, Tom, what a fright you gave me. Now I must get you to stop this nonsense. So she said that, I know what you're doing. Now I have to let you to stop this nonsense, whatever you're doing. The ground stopped and the pain disappeared from the toe. As soon as Aunt Polly said that she came to know what nonsense he was doing and he have to stop it immediately. As soon as Aunt Polly said that, the crying of Tom stopped and the pain also disappeared from the toe. The boy felt a little foolish and he said, Aunt Polly, it seemed mortified and it hurt so much. I don't mind my tooth aching at all. So he said that he was feeling very foolish and he was feeling that he was caught now whatever he was doing wrong. He was caught by Aunt Polly and he said that, no auntie, really my toe was paining so badly that I did not even remember the ache in my tooth. So he by himself he said that he had even a toothache. Your tooth indeed? What's the matter with your tooth? So Aunt Polly asked that. Okay, now your sore toe was paining now even your tooth is added to it. Okay, tell me what is wrong with your tooth. One of them is loose and it aches terribly. So Tom says that one of them, the upper front tooth is loose and it aches terribly. Aches is nothing but pains. So he says that it has become loose and is paining a lot to me. There now, don't begin that groaning again. So Aunt Polly says that, okay, so now your toe groaning is over. Now don't start groaning. Don't start crying for your toothache also. Open your mouth. Well, your tooth is loose, but you're not going to die of that. So he says, Aunt Polly says that, okay, open your mouth, let me see. And when he opens his mouth, so Aunt Polly says that, okay, your tooth has just become loose and don't worry, you're not going to die out of it. But you're not going to die out of that. I must now get Mary to bring me a few things. So she says that Mary, her housemaid, and she says that Mary, you have to bring me a few things. Mary, run along quickly and bring me a piece of silk thread and some burning coals from the kitchen. So Aunt Polly asked Mary to bring some silk thread, a piece of silk thread and some burning coals from the kitchen. So Mary, she runs down to bring what the things are said to her. Oh, please, auntie, don't pull it out. It doesn't hurt anymore. Please don't, auntie. I don't want to stay home from school, Tom said. So by this time, even Tom understood that whatever reasons he had given to be at home, it was very wrong and he had to not do like that. But still Aunt Polly, now she saw Tom's teeth was shaking. So she brought some things to just pull out his teeth. So Tom says that, auntie, please don't pull it out. It will hurt me a lot. I will not do it once again and I will not stay home from school. Oh, you don't, do you? So all this row was because you thought you'd stay home from school and go fishing. So Aunt Polly, she understood that all these things, these noisy arguments, whatever this crying, groaning was happening, it was all because Tom wanted to stay at home and he wanted to go for fishing. So she said that no, this is not going to work. You have to remove your teeth and you have to go to school. Tom, I love you so, and you seem to try every way you can to break my old heart. By this time, the dental instruments were ready. As soon as Tom and his auntie they were talking, they were had an argument about the loose teeth, and Tom was giving an argument. He was telling Miss Aunt Polly that he will not do it once again, and do not pull my teeth. I will go to school. By this time, they were talking. Mary had brought all the dental instruments, and it was all ready. The old lady tied one end of the silk thread fast to Tom's tooth with a loop and tied the other to the bedpost. So Aunt Polly, she did not listen to Tom, and as the dental instruments were ready, she brought the silk thread and she tied one side of the thread with a loop to Tom's tooth, and the other she tied to the bedpost. Bedpost is nothing but the four sides, the four poles which you have in a bed, in a cot, that is called as a bedpost. So one thread, one side she tied one loop to Tom's tooth, and the other she tied to the bedpost. Then she seized the pane of burning coals and suddenly thrust it almost into the boy's face. The tooth hung dangling by the bedpost now. So she tied it and she just pulled out his teeth, and his teeth kept dangling on the bedpost. Now that your tooth is out, Tom, you should go to school. You should not have frightened me like this. So Aunt Polly says that, okay, now your tooth is removed and you will not have any pain, and your sore throat also is okay now. So you have to go to school now, and you have to not do like this once again. You really frightened me. So Tom says that, okay, auntie, I will not do it once again, and he goes to school. So this is the end of the lesson. Thank you.